1984. Let's do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan, who's bad, who's very, very bad. And Trump is bad, and white men are bad, but especially blonde white men. Oh, and the best Greek gods are not actually based on Greeks. Odd. You've got a blonde dude in a suit and tie who stands outside a building drinking whiskey, who commits batteries against women as they walk by. And nobody has a problem with that. He's not homeless because that would be poverty-shaming a marginalized and oppressed person. He's just a 40 to 50-year-old blonde alcoholic in a suit, a tie, and an overcoat who stands outside the same building drinking and attacking women. In the real world, the homeless guy would mug him. They call it rolling drunks. Then he would probably snuggle Kristen Wiig. But in this version of America, the POC has to rescue Kristen Wiig from the evil blonde man. This movie is absolutely developmentally disabled, but it does have a few bright points. Everyone bad in this movie is white and usually blonde. There's even a bully kid who's got red hair. They really want you to know white people are bad. You got a blonde kid driving a muscle car like he stole it. He almost kills a lady. Everyone in a positive role in this is a POC or female or a WOC. You got some tribe of Amazonian women, but a tribe of people are all the same people, but not in Patty Jenkins' world. This tribe is a mix of European and African women. How does that work exactly? I don't know, but don't ask questions or else you're racist. Except I can't help asking questions. Why don't they all look like they're of the same people? Because it's Hollywood propaganda and it's developmentally disabled. The opening scene has a little kid, Diane, competing with a bunch of adults. Why? How can a kid possibly keep up? Because she's a demigod. Then it's not really a fair competition, is it? It would be like men competing against women. The scene of the Olympic Games is like 10 minutes long, and it's really boring after the first minute. I look at these elaborate buildings they use for the set, and I wonder who built them. Did they bring in male contractors to build it? Are they trying to imply that the women built it themselves? Because that is just ridiculous. The whole thing feels like a Harry Potter ripoff. Then you got this old lady who lectures Diane on some lesson. The whole scene should have been cut. I mean, this entire intro scene. Then you got a bunch more evil white guys who rob a store in a mall where obese white people are stuffing their faces because of greedy capitalism. An evil white guy drops a gun in the mall and a woman starts yelling her head off and the whole mall panics. Why? Guns are not uncommon in many states in America. It would absolutely not cause a panic. You would look at it and assume that they had a permit to carry it, or they're undercover, or most states in America, you can carry one. The mall security chases down the bad guys, but the mall security is also armed, which actually doesn't happen that often in America unless the mall is in a ghetto, which malls are usually not in ghettos. So that didn't make sense, and this mall is definitely not. This is middle America somewhere, where almost everyone in the movie is white or black. Where's the Mexican representation? I don't know, but it's not in this movie. Then, the evil blonde man threatens to kill a kid by holding her over a railing, which is kind of a weird scene, because a few years ago, a Somali guy actually did throw a little white kid off an escalator, but of course, he wasn't blonde. Actually, oddly enough, most commercial burglaries, or burglaries in general, aren't committed by blonde men, but in Hollywood they are. I wonder why. All these logical inconsistencies add up. Bad characters have certain commonalities, and good or neutral ones have a different set. But to do it, you got to straw man and force the characters into behavior that is really rare. But in this movie, all the rare events occur. You come to the conclusion that this is just propaganda. Why is a blonde dude in a suit and tie standing outside a building every night? That doesn't actually happen. He'd be at home, or maybe he'd be in a bar, but he'd choose chooses to just stand outside a building. Not only that, but he attacks every woman he sees, and nobody calls the cops. He would be arrested for battery and public intoxication. And he doesn't just catcall, because that's not enough for this Wonder Woman, woke woman. He actually stalks and attacks a woman. Again, statistically, it's not blonde guys who do that. Are they outside a bar? She would yell for help. Someone would come outside and stop him and call the cops. If they're in the middle of nowhere, then why is he there? Where did he come from where he wears a suit, a tie, and overcoat, but he also has a bottle of whiskey? If it's a dangerous area, then why is she walking at night? There were a few other guys around. If they heard her being attacked, the odds are good that they would grab the guy and put him in a headlock. Men don't usually stand by and watch women get attacked. None of this makes sense. Apparently, he's out there every night. A drunk, blonde dude in a suit and tie is going to get mugged. Well, I won't say the rest. He's going to get mugged very quickly. That is the reality of life in a city. Hashtag diversity is our strength. They needed to set up the scene of the evil blonde harasser because they wanted to show the feminist girl power moment where Kristen Wiig almost beats him to death. Feminists have this revenge-fueled power fantasy about attacking catcallers. The problem with their fantasy is that catcallers are not white, like not even a little bit. It's almost 100% black and Latino. BuzzFeed did an experiment. They put cameras on a pretty lady who was wearing like a skin-tight bodysuit, and they had her walk through a city. Everyone who complimented her was black or Mexican, but BuzzFeed said it's toxic men. But they didn't mention that it wasn't all groups of men. Again, I wonder why. Odd, really. It's odd when they choose to lump people together and when they choose to separate them out. It's not really that odd when you think about it. The second time, the alcoholic blonde guy talks to her, she turns around and attacks him. Thank God there was a black guy to save the Kristen Wiig from the evil blonde alcoholic, because I'm sure that would totally happen. In the real world, I'll just say that would probably not happen. Other things would happen in the real world. In a later scene, there's a terrorist attack. I'm so going to get kicked off YouTube. And the camera very clearly shows two black dudes with huge afros rushing to help everybody. Are you familiar with Hurricane Katrina? This level of pandering to a woke narrative is absolutely insane. Even normies are going to think it's heavy-handed. And there's this theme of the movie of, I don't know, crass commercialism and capitalism, overconsumption. So you've got a Hollywood movie. They're attempting to lecture us on morality. Where were you guys on Epstein and Weinstein? Patty Jenkins recently gave an award to an evil rat-faced guy, oddly enough named Ratner, who was accused of attacking women. She, of course, immediately threw him under the bus. Don't you want to see any evidence or due process? Nope, not in Hollywood. The accusation is all it takes if it's made publicly by people who matter. Remember how the media treated the people who accused Trump and Kavanaugh versus people who accused Biden? Strange how it's a different standard. How can Hollywood try and lecture us on everything? They literally ban kids. They don't care about Weinstein or Epstein. They only care if they get caught and it hurts their brand. There's a scene where Kristen drops a bunch of papers. It's not a big deal. But the men walk by, they look at her, and then they just keep walking. Why exactly do they ignore her? Oh my gosh, are men just evil? Probably. But good thing Wonder Woman is there to help her pick up those all-important papers that Kristen was picking up anyway. Where Kristen Wiig proceeds to wet her panties over Gal Gadot. Again, why? They're both researchers. They've got PhDs in similar industries. Gal's 35 and good looking. Kristen is 47. But when she was 35, she was actually even better looking. Why is she gushing? None of it makes sense. Another oh-so-minor problem is that Gal Gadot cannot act. and she doesn't speak English. There are a few scenes where she gives these long monologues on some morality nonsense, but it's like a Led Zeppelin. And why is Chris Pine in this movie? Everything is so artificially constructed. He's there so she can give him up. Oh, and Wonder Woman rapes a man, but nobody cares because it's a man. Actually, it might be two men, spiritually at least. Can a human really consent to sex with a god? Isn't the power disparity too great? If the tables were turned, the feminists would be reeing their heads off. Imagine if the spirit of a woman took over the physical form of another woman and a god has sex with her. They would say it's a double struggle snuggle. This movie falls apart while you are watching it. Wonder Woman and Catgirl are swinging around on live wires carrying thousands of volts and insane currents. The electricity is arcing through their bodies, but it can't hurt them because they're superhuman. Okay, that's fine. We accept that as part of the film. But then Wonder Woman grabs a wire, a live wire, and puts it in the water, and it stuns Catgirl. Why? She was literally swinging around on the exact same wire a second ago. She was able to ignore those jewels. The water acting as a ground doesn't matter. They were both in direct contact with the current before. And in all these fight scenes, you've got these two slim women performing these crazy feats of strength. It looks a little weird. They're both in good shape for their age, but it's like watching two moms fight. You want to see them stop fighting and start banging each other. The movie does have good scenes, but the bad scenes are not worth sitting through. They could cut this down to 90 minutes. Just get rid of the propaganda. And even then, this movie is not going to be able to be saved, because they didn't set out to make a fun film. Their goal was to make a feminist, anti-white, anti-male film. And even pussy soy boys like, I was going to say mundane, I'll leave it at that. They hated it, but for different reasons. Guys like him ignore the racist, sexist stuff because I think fundamentally they hate themselves. But even if you focus on logical inconsistencies or the characters, the movie is also crap. Too much of this movie has got the white guys acting like strawman evil characters, and the women and brown characters acting like purse puppies. The main bad guy, Pedro, dyes his hair blonde so he can look more like Trump. Why try to make him look more ethnically Aryan or Swedish or German or whatever? He's from South America. Why not allow some representation on screen? Because brown men bad doesn't fit the narrative. Trump's wife has a Eastern European accent, so Pedro Pascal's secretary has a Russian accent. It is so unbelievably stupid. Even if you're a soy boy like that mundane person, you're not going to like this movie. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all on Bitchute.